Well, welcome back. You're watching Expressive Show. We're live on GHOne television. And we move to our health discussion, and we're talking about dyslexia. And I have two ambassadors of dyslexia. They're going to throw more light on it, tell us all about it. And so you can send your questions as well. Whatever you want to know about it, do send us via our WhatsApp number. And my guests will answer. They're living with it, and so they can answer these questions for you. I have International Youth Ambassador Dean Bragonier and his son, Bodhi Bragonier. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us. It's a wonderful opportunity to be in Ghana.
You were saying something in Chi when you came in the Ghanaian language.
I tried Mimawa Chi. Yeah.
Do you know the meaning?
It's been 5 days. I still can't get it.
Mimawa Chi.
Mimawa.
Or you can just say Akwaba.
Akwaba.
Akwaba. That's very simple.
I wish somebody had told me that in the beginning. It would have been easier.
Akwaba.
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 Thanks.
Akwaba. So welcome. Akwaba is welcome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Good. So we're here to talk about dyslexia.
Yes.
Tell us what it is. When we talk about dyslexia, what do we mean?
There's a lot of definitions, and many are very complicated, but I'll give you an easy to understand one.
Yes.
This is a reading challenge that impacts approximately 20% of the global population. And it boils down to a fundamental brain-based difference that makes the processing of the visual component of the written word difficult to translate into the sounds and the meaning of words.
Right.
And so when you think about the fact that we are born with the ability, most of us, to speak and to see and to hear, reading is actually an artificial invention. It is man-made, where we agreed to make these lines represent the invisible, which is speech. And that requires the brain to use many different parts, just as you would learn anything else. And for one reason or another, people with dyslexia have a challenge bringing those parts of their brain together. But it also carries benefits, and we'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Right. So what are the... Okay, I think now we can all understand it. Are there signs that, a parent can know that this is what my child is suffering from?
There absolutely are. And first of all, the traditional approach is to look for challenges, difficulties learning how to read, which happens around 6 or 7 or 8 years old. And very often a child will struggle with the process that is often easy for everybody else. It is not a function of intelligence. In fact, people with dyslexia are average or above average intelligence. So a child who is exhibiting intelligence in every other aspect of their life, but is all of a sudden challenged by the process of learning how to read, is the first red flag. Very often teachers and parents will assume that the child is not trying hard enough.
Yeah, that's the first thing that'll come to your mind.
Exactly, and I promise you that every student with dyslexia wants desperately to learn how to read. The problem is that it is this brain-based difference. Very quickly, those challenges will manifest as behavioral issues, because the last thing I want as a young child is to be identified as stupid.
Of course.
And so I will pretend to be, we call them the class clown in the United States, the one that makes everybody laugh, or the one who gets into trouble, or the one who remains silent and enclosed. These are the first warning signs. And then, of course, how the child spells. Spelling is an art. It takes time, but for those with dyslexia, even as an adult, my spelling is atrocious.
Wow.
That is one way to identify how would you like dyslexic. This is the next generation of dyslexic.
So you're living with it.
Both of us
He's also
are.
living with it.
Yes.
And that's your son.
Yes.
This is my
So
boy.
it's hereditary.
Yes, my mother and my father are both dyslexic, so we like to joke that I am a purebred dyslexic.
100%.
100% dyslexic.
Right.
But as he was saying, there's obviously the negatives to diagnose or observe dyslexia. But with every positive, there's another side of the coin.
Yes.
There's a positive. The way that you can identify kids who are dyslexic by the positive he's incredibly good at it. We will be sitting at a restaurant, and the waiter will come up, give us our food, maybe say hello, and then leave. And he will say, they're probably dyslexic. So he's very good at observing this. But the simple, like the main 4 things you can look for is, there's a good acronym for it,
Right.
but it's more complex than we can get into right now.
Summarize the skills,
Is, one is called material reasoning, which is kind of the ability to see how things work, take them apart. I've had friends who will take apart their family's motorbikes and then put them back together. Very dyslexic. There are people who can find interesting solutions to problems that to issues that nobody's ever seen before.
Right.
There's narrative reasoning, which is the ability to tell a story, to convince, to speak. And then there is dynamic reasoning, which is the coolest one, but the most complex one, which is being able to tell the future based on the past.
Wow.
So that is to say, okay, this river has carved this way over 200 years. I predict that it will do this over the next 300, right?
Bodhi is alluding to is a set of neuroscientific discoveries around the way that this particular brain construction perceives the world. And if you look back historically, you recognize that some of the greatest change agents of all time have been people with dyslexia, ranging from people in entertainment who are excellent at telling stories like you, Whoopi Goldberg, or some of the famous actors like Tom Cruise, but more importantly, individuals who have revolutionized our lives. Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb, or Henry Ford, who created the assembly line. There is a correlation between their success and their dyslexia, but it was often, until they became successful, overlooked because the focus was on the challenge. We're giving you a lot this morning.
You are actually giving us a lot, but you're here, you're in Ghana for a reason. Tell us why you're in Ghana and what is going to happen.
I'm so excited to be in Ghana. I'm so excited to be in Ghana. We have a wonderful partner, a woman named Miss Rosalind, who is a founder of the Africa Dyslexia Organization. And we have come to her and our partnership through a board member of mine in the United States. And what Miss Rosalind is doing is she's doing multiple things in Ghana, which I admire tremendously, and actually are only just kind of happening now in the United States. Compared to us, you're a younger country, you're already doing what we're doing. So this is great progress. She is raising awareness not only of the legislative changes that need to be made in order to recognize students with dyslexia, provide them the structured literacy they need to learn how to read properly. And then she has partnered with organizations like ours who are bringing this 2.0 model of dyslexia, meaning the next evolution, which is how can we focus on how the child feels about themselves so that we can empower them to live to their fullest potential. So we were guests at the first ever educational stakeholder meeting at the African Region Hotel on Monday, and it was a collection of school heads. It was legislators, it was Ministry of Education, all brought together under one roof. And I predict that what was achieved during this 5-hour session will propel Ghana to become one of the leaders in Africa when it comes to dyslexic empowerment.
Right.
And this is good news not only for the child, but this is good news for Ghana at large.
Absolutely. Bodhi, tell us, I mean, if there's a parent watching and they may have a child with dyslexia, advise them on how to treat that child and take care of that child.
Certainly. It's a great question, and it comes with just as many answers. There is, of course, the remediation. Okay, how as a family can we get this child the help that they need to succeed in what they eventually will need, which is reading and writing. Then there's what we like to focus on, and what I'll probably speak to, which is encouraging the child to puff out their chest a little bit more as the school system shows them what they're not so good at and breaks down their self-esteem.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend to families is to help encourage that child in their free time to do the things they love. My mother said something very smart to me once. She said, "Find where you lose time," and that means find the thing where you start doing it and you look up 15 minutes later and it's actually 3 hours that have passed, right?
Yeah.
Those are the best things because that's what will propel you into your future, will give you the best self-esteem, and allow you to feel some worth and enjoyment in whatever you love. So whether that be art, athletics, engineering, whatever it is. So that would be my best recommendation to both teachers and students is find what you love.
Dean,
He's
you've
after
done
my
an
job.
excellent job raising him. Excellent job.
Oh well, yeah, we're very fortunate. Both my wife and I are dyslexic, so we kind of anticipated what he needed based on what we didn't receive.
Yeah.
And so if we can take any credit, it's simply to have provided him with some structure and assistance in an area that is otherwise perceived as weakness, so that he can understand where his strengths are as well as the challenges.
Is your wife around? Is she here?
She is not. Unfortunately, she is joining us in the UK, but she was so disappointed to meet Ghana, and will have to come
What
back.
does she do as well?
She is an artist.
Oh,
She is an
right.
exceptional artist.
Wow.
This is not, again, I'm saying the same thing over. This is not by accident.
No.
The top 4 professions for people with dyslexia is entrepreneurship, engineering, architecture, and the arts.
Wow.
So Pablo Picasso or
Yeah,
Ansel Adams, all
yeah.
of these dyslexics, my wife, these are successful dyslexics.
No, you've done an amazing job with him. I'm so impressed.